Little Jamie, little Jamie, we're sure glad you are here. We're sure glad you are here.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. I'm having a great day thus far. Today I wanted to talk about the Proverbs 31 wife. This is a pretty popular scripture, and I wanted to talk about it because I've been having a lot of conversations with young women lately, girls in my age group and not, about the topic of marriage and finding a suitable mate. And so it made me think of the Proverbs 31 wife. And I have my trusty Bible here, that's why I keep looking down. But for those of you who don't know, I'm speaking of Proverbs 31 and 10 specifically. And I'm going to read a couple of excerpts. Verse 10 starts out, "A capable wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from far away." Then if I go up to verse 17, it says, "She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable." Down now to verse 22, "She makes herself coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the city gates, taking his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She supplies the merchant with sashes. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come." I wanted to talk about this passage, and there are a lot of other things in this scripture. I only read some excerpts. I wanted to talk about this though because I've been having, like I said, lots of conversations with friends and just women that I've been meeting about marriage and wanting to find a suitable mate. And a lot of the conversation that I have, more often than not, is about how the woman is ready to be married and ready to be a wife, but there are no suitable husbands out here, basically. There are different variations of this conversation, but basically that's in a nutshell. This is interesting to me because every time I have conversations like these, it's always, that same one, like men are not ready, they're always stringing you along, they're always out here acting like little boys and so forth and so on. And while I know that in a lot of cases that may be true, when I look at this scripture and think about all that it's saying that this wife, this capable wife, does, it really proves that being a wife is serious business. It's not just a wedding. It's not just a ring. It's not some luxurious thing where Prince Charming comes and sweeps you off of your feet and does all of the work and you just sit back like a princess on a pedestal. That clearly, based on the scripture, is not how it works. It's serious and it's a big job. And based on the outline of what the job entails in scripture, truthfully, a lot of women are not ready. Truthfully, a lot of the women that I have spoken to about this, who have been kind of angry at the men in their lives for not having been ready, are really not ready themselves. And when I think about this, I think about some of the sadness and anger and just frustration that a lot of the women that I have encountered have felt, that really they probably wouldn't be feeling at all if they just would be concentrating on preparing for the job, if that's what you want to call it, that they're interested in doing sometime in the near future, rather than being so concerned about this man is not ready or that man is not ready, because truthfully, just according to this scripture alone, I mean, it says, you know, her husband trusts her. She's getting up early in the morning. She's like spinning wool and selling it. She's cooking and cleaning and staying up late, getting up early. In order to be equipped to do all of those things, it takes preparation. Like, you just don't wake up one day talking about, oh, I'm ready to be a wife. Like, why? How? Because you look cute in outfits? Like, that's not according to scripture what it means to be a capable wife. And I think that we all are guilty of sometimes, you know, being a little too hard on each other and not kind of looking in the mirror sometimes at what we could do better. Because this job entails a lot. And just based on scripture alone, it's clear that it takes a lot of preparation, and it's not something that you're just going to be ready for overnight. And on the flip side, scripture does say to husbands to love your wives as Christ has loved the church, which would mean that a husband is expected to sacrifice and to die to himself in order to lift you up and have you on the pedestal that you should be on. And that also requires a lot. So wherever your husband is right now, if it's the man that God actually has chosen for you, I'm sure he's somewhere preparing for the difficult job at hand, as you should also be. And I just wanted to encourage someone out there that if this is you, the preparation time isn't fun necessarily. And the preparation time includes a lot of different things, I think. Dating, kissing a lot of frogs, so to speak, where you can find Prince Charming. But the preparation is necessary so that, as the scripture says, the heart of her husband trusts in her. You want that. You want that trust. You want that admiration. And you want your husband to be proud of the wife that you are. And how else can he do that unless you are somewhere preparing rather than complaining? Sometimes it's really easy to complain, and it's really easy to talk about the things that men aren't doing in relationships, which I'm sure there are a list of things. However, sometimes it's really important to pay attention to ourselves and what we can do better and how we can better prepare for the person that God does have for us. Because, you know, along the way to meeting the person that God has for you, you will meet a lot of other people who are not for you. You might think that they are at the time, but they end up not being that one. But there should have been something that you learned from each person along the way. There should have been something that you took with you from each person along the way that would strengthen you and make you better prepared and give you something more to bring to the table for the one that is for you. Because truthfully, if you're not bringing anything to the table, if you're not presenting yourself as a wife, how can you really expect someone to even think of you that way? I mean, based on this scripture, there's a lot of work that we all have to do. I mean, because this woman is like Superwoman. So just want to encourage the women out there again, whoever this applies to. We all know how men is. Yes, I said is. However, there's more that we can gain from reflecting on ourselves and thinking about what we can do better and thinking about how we can grow and become more for the one who is for us, rather than dwelling on all of the annoying, terrible things that the one who was not for us has done. Make sense? I think so. I hope this was helpful. I hope, like I said, that you're having a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon. Bye.